Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I've found in my travels. Today, it is the, I don't want to talk about a specific book, but I want to do the usual wrap-up and TBR. It's a bit later than normal, and that is because I went on vacation to Pittsburgh, and I was at the end of the month, so it's taken a bit longer to get to this usual video that I do. But I can say that there were a lot of great reads in June. Some pretty interesting books that I read from a variety of good authors. Some things that I wanted to get to on my yearly TBR, which is good. I've been knocking some stuff out of the park there. And maybe some best of the year contenders, year-end books, which I'll talk more about when I get to them. As I just said, I had visited Pittsburgh. I had a pretty good time, ate some good food, and hung out with some friends. Unfortunately, as I usually do, I didn't get a chance to go to a bookstore to buy another book that I absolutely don't need. But hopefully, maybe next time I go to Pittsburgh, I can do that. There just wasn't enough time, or I had forgotten about it. Also, I've been reading LGBT poems from LGBT writers, pretty solid, and I have a number of good books planned for July, although at the end of the month, once again, I am going to Vancouver this time, another vacation sort of thing, so I might not get to as many as I want to this year, or this month, but it should still be a good month for reading based on what I have planned. And so without further ado, let's do the wrap up and TBR, and I'll move on from there. So what did I read in June? In terms of books, I read The Lager Queen of Minnesota by J. Ryan Stradal, which I thought was great. Pretty amazing book about sisterhood in the Midwest, in the sort of context of the brewing industry. Very powerful writing, I would say, and I like how Stradal kind of brings it together at the end. If it wasn't for some of the other stuff that I read this month, this might have been the best of the month. Like, it was a really solid read, definitely something worth seeking out. Go check out my video if you want more information about it. But I do think it was it's something that's worth reading. And then I also read After Tupac and D. Foster by Jacqueline Woodson. I thought it was a pretty solid book, very intriguing and definitely useful for getting young adults reading and interested in these kind of topics like race and oppression and things like that. I do think that it kind of gestures towards the issues rather than folding it into the narrative and making a compelling narrative, because the story felt a bit bare bones at times. But I do think overall it is still pretty good there. I also read Tess at the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I thought it was great, pretty solid, very much on near the level as Pride and Prejudice. Kind of interesting in that Pride and Prejudice focuses on a lot of the same issues, but it focuses on the upper class, and whereas Tess in the story is lower class and it doesn't have many of the advantages. And so Thomas Hardy points out that, life is not good for Tess, and it's very easy to exploit her and hurt her because of her lower status. And, even though people might have a lot of money, that doesn't necessarily make them good people, as seen by Alec d'Urberville in this story, which he's one of the better villains that I've ever read about. So definitely recommend you go seek that one out too. I also read Demon Slayer Volume 2, which I thought was boring. I picked that up from my local library. Don't forget to patronize your local libraries. Not all books that they have will be boring, but some of them might be, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought the series isn't really... It feels like it's very rushed. Not enough time is spent lingering on important issues, and maybe that might happen later, but this just feels very kind of boring, not very intriguing. So definitely maybe one of the skippable mangas that I've read. Also, I have read Crisis on Infinite Earth by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. A lot of fun. Very interesting to see this sort of different universes, multiverses of superheroes and them fighting for survival, and some of them dying, including the major event that happened, which was Supergirl died. Thus leaving Superman kind of on his own, which was sad. But it was done to make Superman feel more unique and more interesting. I do like that I had a chance to read that, especially since the Crisis on Infinite Earths is one of the major storylines in DC Comics. So a pretty good read there. And then I also read Olga Dies Dreaming, which I'm still in the process of making a video for, but this was by Xochitl Gonzalez, which I thought was really great, spectacular. One of the best books that I've read for this channel, and the best of the month for what I read this month. Just a very interesting story about siblings and revolution in Puerto Rico, and class and oppression and those sorts of things. Really fascinating writing on the part of Gonzalez, just really getting you sucked into this world that she's created. And it does kind of feel like historical fiction at times, because it's set in 2017 during the hurricanes in Puerto Rico, and it was written in 2021, so it's kind of a form of historical fiction, but not really. But it's definitely worth pursuing. Luckily, I was sent this by my friend Bevan, another Bevan Reed out there, and they sent it to me while they were moving to India, and so it's my gain, because I didn't pay anything for the book, and I got one of the better books that I've read, so definitely going on my bookshelf. I also read a number of short stories, all of which were good in some capacity. Honey and Cold Stars, The World Well Lost, and The Salaryman. Pretty interesting short stories. I do think The World Well Lost is interesting from an LGBT perspective, in that it's about a space travelers transporting an alien back to their home planet, discovering that alien is gay, and that something might be happening to them because they're gay. And the space pilot kind of connecting with the aliens because they are also gay, and dealing with the sort of homophobia that exists in the world at the time. So pretty good short stories, and definitely check out my short story playlist if you want more information about that. And then I read a number of poems, which, as I mentioned before, had LGBT themes, or were by writers, so definitely go check out the Poetry Thursday playlist if you want information on that. But I'm having a really good time exploring these poets. So what do I intend to read for July, for my TBR? In terms of books, I have a number planned. I'm currently in the process of reading Parable of the Talents. I started reading that on the airplane to back to California from Pittsburgh, and it's every bit as compelling as Parable of the Sower. It's by Octavia Butler. Parable of the Sower is probably one of the best books ever written, and one of the best books that I've highlighted on this channel. So Parable of the Talents is just a very compelling read. The Arrival and Black Hole, both of which are comic books that I placed on my 2025 TBR. Superman, the Return of Superman, which is part of the Death and Return of Superman arc. Looking forward to reading that one. Spawn, I actually bought the Spawn Compendium, which collects volumes 1 through 50. I'm going to read the first couple volumes, or first couple editions, so I'll be able to talk about that when I get a chance. But yeah, this is sort of a buddy read with one of my friends, so that'll be fun. And then also The Prince of West End Avenue, which I believe I got from a coworker. I can't remember where I sourced it, but it's been sitting in my unread pile, so I finally need to get to that. I also have a number of short stories planned, including some by Edgar Allan Poe and Ralph Ellison. For those who might recall, I did read Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, which is, again, probably one of the better books that I've read for this channel. And I haven't really read any of his short stories. It should be noted that The Invisible Man actually started off as a short story. I'm not going to read that because I already talked about The Invisible Man, and it doesn't make sense to really sort of read the short story, although maybe it would make sense to do that. Yeah, I'm really excited to get back to Ralph Ellison. And then I have a number of poems that I want to read for July. Again, these are LGBT poems because this period of Pride goes from May until the end of July. I just feel like it's important to talk about LGBT things outside of June, and I don't want to be like one of those corporations that only talks about certain things in its given month, because that's not good. But yeah, be on the lookout for those poems as well. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the wrap-up and TBR for June and July. If you have any recommendations or you want to comment on, what I've said here about some of the books, let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you and maybe receive a good recommendation. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that other people can find out about these books or this channel if they don't already know about it. Also, join the Discord if you want to have further conversations about books, movies, TV, that sort of thing. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and July-based travels. Farewell.